Hi everybody, and welcome to the Yoga Space Online for this bedtime routine. So in this class, I'll be using a couple of blocks and a blanket, and you might like to use a belt as well. So in addition to these props, you might want to get some extra things like a bolster or some cushions just to have to hand, so you can decide whether you need them or not, so you don't have to keep getting up and down. And then once you've done the routine, you'll know what you need for doing it the next time. So let's get started. We're going to start in a child's pose. And I would like you to have the head down onto something. So if your head doesn't easily reach the floor, by all means take a block or a cushion to rest the head on. Okay, and you can decide whether you want to have the arms forwards or back. I'm going to take my arms forwards just to get into the shoulders a little bit more. And I'm also going to take my knees apart just so I can sink down a little bit deeper. But if you want a stronger stretch for the spine and more deeper release for the spine, bring your knees together. So we'll be staying here for just about 10 breaths or so, just to settle. And if you haven't got any props to hand, you could always stack your fists and rest your head on to your fists. And what's nice about having the head down is that the brain can really start to quieten and the mind settle. You can just start to slow the breath. And you don't need to use any type of breathing technique. You can just breathe. Long, smooth inhale, long, smooth exhale. And just allow yourself to drop down a little bit deeper into the pose. Maybe if you want to have a little bit of a deeper stretch into the shoulders, you can extend the fingertips a little bit further forwards and reach the hips a little bit further back. But of course, we want to keep this routine nice and gentle. We're just slowing the body and mind down for bed. And of course, at any point, you could always pause the video and stay longer in the poses if you wish to do so. So let's make our way up to a kneeling position. And if kneeling's not good for you, then of course you can always come to sit into a cross-legged position or have your legs out in front. So you could do this cross-legged, but I'm going to do it kneeling. So I'm going to take the fingertips behind, roll the shoulders back and lift the chest, and just get that stretch into the chest there. Because everything we do in life is forwards, because the eyes are at the front of the head, then we're always tending to lean forward. So we just want to try and release the spine a little bit here. And then if you want to get a little stretch into the quads, you could just lift the hips up into like a very easy Ustrasana, camel posture. Keep rolling the shoulders back. And you can think about lengthening the kneecaps away from the hips and the hips away from the kneecaps. And we don't want to be straining, it's just stretching out, opening the chest, opening the quads. Release for the spine from all the forward bending, reaching forwards that we do in our daily life. And then releasing the hips back down. So let's do a little bit of stretching for the upper back now, which does take a lot of stress during the day, particularly if you sat at a desk all day. So we'll take our eagle arms. So stretch the arms out, breathe in. And then as you exhale, we've got options just to hug and then round. Or if you want to come into your eagle arms, you can bring the palms together or even the back of the hands together. And again, breathing in and then exhaling. rounding down. So I'm just drawing the elbows in towards the abdomen and allowing the head to relax. And of course, you don't need to fold forwards if you don't want to. You can always stay upright. So again, just settling here. Enjoying that stretch across the upper back, top of the shoulders. Breathe deeply into that area. Let the head fully relax. I'm not letting my head quite fully relax because of the microphone, but you can let your head go all the way down. So there's no holding of the head. And you can just keep your chin drawn in a little bit. Smooth, deep breath, sinking down through the hips. Starting to feel quite relaxed. So let's change sides. Inhale, lift back up to center. Exhale, remember which arm you've got on top. Exhale, extend the arms out. And then work the other side. So again, you might be hugging in, or you might take your eagle arms. Take a breath in, and then exhale, if you wish to, just going forwards. So now I've swapped arms, I can relax my head a little bit more because of the microphone, and I can just rest my head onto my hands there. Smooth, deep breaths to the back of the body. And feel the area move with the breath. Just check in with the neck. Make sure it's relaxed. And the face. And the mouth. And then gently rising up, breathe in. And let's have a stretch out with those arms. Okay, good. So we're moving into a reclined back bend. So it's a very gentle back bend. So I don't want you to feel that you're struggling in this back bend. It should feel nice and relaxed. And again, it's just to release the spine in the opposite direction to what we're normally using the spine for, which is forwards in everyday life. So for this one, I'm going to use a block, 2 blocks, and a blanket. So you could choose to have the block this way or that way. Yep. Or if you think the block's going to be too high, just roll up your blanket nice and firm. You could always secure it with a belt. And then instead of a block, you could lay your spine onto a tightly rolled up blanket. Okay, but I'm just going to use this block this way because I prefer it that way. But I am just going to rest a blanket over it to give it a little bit of softness. And then a lower block for your head. Or maybe you need a higher block. You can decide when you get there. So I'll take Baddha Konasana legs and laying the spine down onto the blocks and then the head onto the blocks. So we've got this nice opening into the chest and a release into the hips. So if you feel any discomfort in the neck, lift your head up more with higher blocks, cushions, etc. So as I said, it wants to feel relatively comfortable so that you can relax. And choose where you wish to have the arms. You might wish to take them a little bit further up, which will increase the stretch. Or maybe even just rest the hands onto the body. So again, you can always just pause the video while you play around with the position of the blocks. So I've got mine sort of into the mid upper back area, not on the lower back. You might want yours slightly higher up between the shoulder blades, but again, we don't want it on the base of the neck. And as you exhale, those deep breaths just to release the spine, the chest, front of the shoulders, hips. So although back bend is generally very stimulating and energizing, when we do it in this easy, comfortable way, it just helps us to release any stress through the spine. Any held tension. So do adjust until you can find the position that feels comfortable for you. Let's just take a few more breaths here. And so to come out, I find the easiest way to come out is simply to roll one way or the other off the block. So you can, whichever way you're going to roll, bring that opposite arm over, and then you can just gently roll off the block and maybe stay on the side for a couple of breaths. And then slowly make your way up to sit. Okay. So keep your props to hand and fold back through your left knee and bring your right leg in. Okay. So often in this position, if we're a little bit tight in the hips, the left buttock can want to lift off. So although my right knee is down, if I just prop up my right knee, I can kind of sink down into that left hip a little bit. Okay, so we can just sit here for a little bit. If this isn't for you, you can release that leg, which is what we're going to do next. Okay, but you can always release it straight away if this position isn't for you. And of course, you can sit up onto blocks, etc., if you feel you need to be a little bit higher. So if your sit bones are way off, maybe just elevate the hips a little bit. So take an inhalation and an exhale, we'll twist to the right. So a really gentle twist. Again, to release through the spine. And some smooth, deep breaths. Sinking down through the hips. And always, of course, as you know, making sure there's no discomfort in the knees. And then let's move back to center and to the other side. Few more deep breaths here. Softening the shoulders. Just check that the tongue's relaxed down. Tongue resting behind the bottom teeth. And then back to center, breathing in. So now we will extend that leg out if you haven't done so. Breathe in. And then exhale, folding between the legs, nice and gently. You might start to feel a stretch down the inside of that left leg, that straight leg. Again, trying to relax the hips back and down. And what's quite nice here actually is you could always rest your forearms onto a brick or a bolster or a number of cushions. Just softening in, releasing, letting go. Finding a spot to gaze upon on the floor. So as it's bedtime, we can just keep the eyes down rather than often, the yoga classes we extend the gaze forward. You can just keep the gaze down. And again, of course, if you're really low in the posture, you could always rest your head to the block or the hands, and you could even elevate a number of blocks and rest your head onto a number of blocks. Every time, just softening, releasing any tension. It's like peeling the layers of an onion, just allowing that stress to dissolve. And then coming up, inhale, nice and slowly. And then let's change the legs over. So the left leg draws in and the right leg bends back. Okay. And again, my left knee's down, but because I can feel my right hip lifting off, just going to support that left knee, which helps to drop my right hip down. Take a breath in just to lengthen the spine, and then exhaling. Gentle twist, nice, easy twist. And then again, focusing on the exhalation to dissolve any tension in the hips. Wherever you feel that stretch. And then let's twist the other way. So inhale to center, change over the hands, and exhale. Okay, as you exhale again, just checking for any tension that the movement of turning to the other side may have possibly created. And see if you can dissolve that tension as you exhale. Couple more breaths. And then back to center. Inhale. Extend out your right leg. Maybe have some blocks to hand if you wish. Breathing in. So folding between the legs. Exhale. So it might just take you a few breaths to settle. If you are working to place the head on the block, then just take your time. Allowing that tension to release, maybe down the inner right leg, maybe the inner left leg, and also into the spine. Maybe a block for the forearms, or maybe elevating the blocks for the head. Shoulders softening, widening. broadening. And I quite like to get the edge of the block just to rest between the eyebrows. So at the level of the eyebrows, at the level of the third eye. Just make sure you're not gripping with the hands and they're nice and soft. And that exhalation, that focus on the exhalation to release that tension. I can just feel my straight leg just releasing a little bit more and more with every breath. Couple more breaths here. Can you let go any more? Notice how calm you feel and relaxed and peaceful. And then carefully releasing and helping yourself back up to sit. Okay, so classic relaxing posture is a forward bend with the legs together. So you might want some support if you've got very tight hamstrings, and just rest that under your knees. So you can just lay your torso down on the legs, or what I quite like to do, I like to give myself a hug and then just begin to extend the legs. So I'm not extending fully. I've got this soft bend in the knees. I'm hugging the legs in. And then I'm hanging here in the forward bend. So again, another nice thing to do is rest your head onto a block or cushion. And again, it can be as high as you need. So take the supports you need. Don't worry about getting maximum stretch. We're just here to soften and release the body. See if you can let the hands relax. And then, of course, if you're very open in the back of the legs, release your arms and stretch out fully. Maybe that you just need to be here a few breaths longer. And then maybe release the legs. And always nice to support that head where you can. And of course, if you haven't got the blocks, again, you could stack your fists. Another option is simply to rest the face in the hands and rest on the elbows. Can you let go of the thighs anymore? The ankles? Soften a little bit deeper for the last few breaths, maybe. Keeping it comfortable so you can relax. Winding down. And then slowly making your way up. So the next posture will be a twist, lying down on your back. Okay, take your arms out. Just take your hips over to the left and then bend up your left knee and straighten your right leg. Right hand to left knee and take that left knee over. So again, if you're not very deep in the posture, you could always support with a number of props under that left knee and then maybe turn the gaze to the right. Enjoy that twist. Passive. So no efforts. Softening with every exhale. If you can release your left shoulder a little bit more. And then we'll release. So just gently releasing your knee. Come back to laying on the back of the body. Take your hips over to the right this time. Bend up your left knee, extend your right. No, that's the other way around. Bend up your right knee and extend the left leg. And then take that right leg over. Turn the gaze, maybe, if it feels nice with the neck, to the right hand. Just check you're not holding, be passive. And some deep breaths down into the lower belly. Also very relaxing when we breathe down to the belly. Releasing with every exhale. Couple more breaths. And then slowly release. Just allow your right leg to come back. Level your pelvis. Give yourself a hug. Hug your knees in. Roll to the side and come up. So final posture will be Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. So again, I'm going to place the blanket over the block and we'll have the block this way under the pelvis, that way under the pelvis. Okay, so I'm going to place the block and the blanket to the side. Now, there's options for this that I'll talk you through as I come into this. So wherever you're going to do this, get close up to the wall or the end of the bed or the bed head. So I'm right next to the wall here. And then I lay down, keep my bottom against the wall and extend the legs up. Now, if you struggle to keep your legs together, because remember we want to relax, you can always just belt up the ankles so that the belt does the work. And then lifting the hips up, place your block, your bolster, your cushions under the pelvis, not on the lower back, under the pelvis. And then you can extend the arms out. Viparita Karani. If you're tighter in the legs, move your pelvis further away from the wall. So a superb position for releasing the legs that we're stood upon all day long. And as I said, you could do this with your legs resting on the bed, Or if you take your pillows away, get right up to your bed head and then just swing your legs up the wall. And in that way, when you come out of the pose, you're actually in bed and there's minimal movement and you can just drift straight off to sleep from there. There are options with this. I quite like to, I'm just going to release the belt. I quite like to take the legs apart and kind of starfish here. And of course, another option would be to bring the soles of the feet together. So options for you to work with. Take the one that you feel you want to do today. Close the eyes. Everything passive. Enjoying that rest for the legs. Face is calm and serene and soft. Almost like muscles just sliding off bones. Completely relaxed and at peace. And remember that you can stay in this pose as long as you wish. No need to come out when I do. You can stay a little bit longer. So if you have got your legs apart, maybe just help your legs back together unless you stay in there. And then bend the knees down. And again, you can just roll off your props. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that bedtime routine. Sleep tight, yogis. Namaste.